Anybody here have a question they'd like to ask the panel? Well, I get it?
All right, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order. And we always begin our events with prayer and pledge. And we have actually my associate pastor from Monument Baptist Church, Pastor Gary Hammert. He has agreed to say our prayer tonight. So if you could join us in prayer.
Thank you guys for allowing me to do this. It's truly an honor to be here with you tonight. So let's go to the Lord. Father God, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as a group of people concerned about the issues pertaining to our taxes, our children, our schools, Lord. And we know that children are held near and dear to your heart, Father God. And so we pray that tonight that you would give us wisdom, guidance, discernment, and Lord, that we would be open with our thoughts and emotions and Lord, make the best decisions possible. Father, Lord, we thank you for this opportunity, Lord. We pray that you forgive us of our sins, Father God, and have mercy on our soul. It's in Christ Jesus' name that we pray, and all God's people said, Amen.
All right, and Tanya Robertson, our SD11 SRAC committee woman, has agreed to say the pledges this evening.
Okay, will you join me in our American flag pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now to the greatest state in the greatest country.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read from a little script I wrote. So here we go. Good evening, everyone. We would like to welcome you to our forum on the CCISD bond election that is going to be held next month in May and in a couple of weeks. We imagine that we all have the same goal here, to deliver the highest level of education to our children and provide the greatest level of stewardship for the taxpayers' money. Our membership has its own opinions and on this particular bond, but rather than advocate one way or the other, we felt the best thing we could do for the community is to provide this forum and a way to educate you on the details and give you the opposing viewpoints so that you, as voters, could draw your own conclusions and cast an educated vote and be an informed voter. With that, I'd like to gladly get out of your way and hand this over to your moderator for the night, which is Mr. Charles Blaine. And he is with the Houston office of Empower Texans. And if you could welcome Charles Blaine.
Thanks, guys. I'm not that much more exciting, so don't be too excited. But I just want to thank you all for coming. Local elections are extremely important. At Empower Texans, we focus a lot on fiscal responsibility and a lot of state legislative issues. But we also have local offices to focus on what's going on in city council, school districts, commissioners' courts, and things like that. So too often people ignore a lot of these issues. They ignore these bonds. They ignore these propositions because they think they don't matter. So I'm excited to see a room full of people who are here to learn about it and to voice their opinion and comments, questions, and concerns. So a few housekeeping things. If you would take out your smartphone or your iPad or whatever you have, at some point throughout the conversation tonight, go to Clear Lake Area Republicans, clearlakearearepublicans.com. They have a straw poll for you guys to vote on vote what you think about this bond. You can do it now, you can do it later, you can do it in the middle, but please do that at some point tonight. And they're going to publish those results and let everybody know about those. The second thing is we are obviously taking questions. There's going to be an extensive Q&A portion of this. So please, during this, fill out your questions, and we're going to collect them towards the end of the presentations, and we will run through them. We're not going to, we're going to randomly select them. We're not going to pick any questions that we like. We're going to pick them. We're just going to go through them all and see what we get. So I guess we're just going to get started because I'm pretty boring and you guys want to hear the presentation. So we're going to first hear from the Clear Creek ISD representatives, Elena Paulson and Paul McCarty. And they're going to give us an overview about the bond package and what the district has said.
First of all, I wanted to thank everybody for being here, and thank you for inviting us here tonight so we can provide some more information. As we said, we are not here to advocate. We're here to provide information and details of the bond and what's in it. So we're going to jump right into it. There's really several areas that are covered. New construction, rebuilds, renovations, and repairs. This would include Elementary 27, which is in League City. It's in extreme west League City, and I don't have a pointer, but I think it's going to be my pointer tonight. So it's down there in the southwest part of League City, where we have extreme enrollment growth. Rebuild League City Elementary School, built in 1960. It's in the middle of League City area, and right there. And so that one is one of them on the rebuilds. Rebuild the Clearview High School, which was built in 1939, and that school has seen a lot of good years, and so the Facility Advisory Committee thought that that one needed to be rebuilt. Renovations to Whitcomb, Ross, White, Clear Lake City, Hall, and Lando. All of those schools are 40 or 50 years old or older, and so those were for major renovations to those schools. And then all the little stars you see around the district is where there's going to be priority repairs. Could be anything from air conditioning replacement, roof replacements, major electrical issues, things like that that are going on at all of those other campuses. So those are just the big ones that are new construction and rebuilds. Elementary 27, talk a little bit more about that. That's kind of what pushed the button for moving the bond election to 2017 instead of 2018, is the extreme growth in West League City and really that whole southern corridor of our school district. Elementary 27 will relieve Hall Elementary School, Gilmore, Bowerschlag. There'll be some rezoning done after that's made. It's out off of Highway 96, League City Parkway, and it's a common design. So that what we would do here would be reuse a design that was used for McWhirter Elementary. By doing that, the district will save 50% off of the cost of the fees for architects. It goes from 6% down to 3% by using a common design. Permanent additions and portables will be removed. There's 18-room classroom addition at Stewart Elementary, which is out in the Kemah area on the far right-hand side of that graphic. Then there's a 10 classroom addition at Clear Lake Intermediate. Both of those have portable buildings that have been there for some time, and those will be removed. And then again, with the growth in Lake City, the Creekside Intermediate campus adds 7 classrooms, and then we'll be removing a total of 36 portables district-wide. Student programs and equipment is another section. We're going to add science labs and classrooms to Brookside Intermediate for a second science magnet. So many of you may know about the Seabrook Science Magnet. So each year, we have to turn away because of constraints on the number of children there that can be in that campus. We turn away about 200 to 300 students every year. And so what the school board decided to do several months ago was to work on making a second science magnet on the west side of our district so that students wouldn't have to travel as far, and also we could expand that program. We did the same thing with WAVE. If you remember a few years back when it was at Westbrook and expanded to League City Elementary, and that program boomed after that. We've got fine arts expansions and renovations at Brookside, Clear Creek Intermediate, Clear Creek High School, League City Space Center. Fine arts are very important in our school district, and so those are some of the equipment, some of the items we'll be doing. Musical instruments and athletic equipment are also on that. Safety improvements. We have 75 buses out of our 292 bus fleet that have between 15 and 25 years of life on them, over 200,000 miles. And so what we wanted to do was include buses in there to phase in the replacement schedule. Security surveillance, access control, and intrusion detection equipment. What that means is we have analog video cameras right now at most of our campuses. The newer ones have digital. So the idea would be to transfer those analog cameras into digital equipment. And then playground replacement fund. The school board this year has been listening to PTAs, and PTAs across our district have been charged with playground replacement. We put in a playground when the school is built, but after it's built, the PTAs are really in charge of replacing those. So what we found was that some of the PTAs that didn't have as much funding as some of the others were taking 3 to 5 years to replace theirs. Some of the more wealthy PTAs were able to do those in 1 or 2 years. And so the school board decided as a matter of policy for the district to start replacing those playgrounds on a routine basis and phase those in. So there's some funding in here for that. Technology, network infrastructure, servers and support equipment, the backbone of our infrastructure. Replace or purchase and install ceiling projectors, mounted projectors in classrooms, and that's to get them up off the floor and into the ceilings. It gives more room for children to move around. New telephone system district-wide, funds for staff computer replacement program, and in student computer labs. What we'd like to do is provide some information on what the average cost would be for a median home value. So there's $223,635. That is the median home value of our school district. There's probably only one person that has that home value in the entire district, but that's the median. This would be a 3.5-cent tax rate increase if approved by voters. $65.61 a year increase on that value home. $5.47 per month on that value home. We have a calculator on our website that you can go in and put your home value, and it will tell you exactly what that increase would be for 3.5 cents. And then age 65 and over will have zero impact from this tax rate increase. We wanted to show you how we calculate or how we figure the tax rate. This 487 bond issue would not be issued all at once. It would be issued over 3 years if it's approved. And it's not term bonds. They limit out every year. We have some of them that come due and we pay them off. We used a 4% appraised value growth in our district over that period of time that you see there through 2023. And that gives us a 39.5-cent tax rate, which is a 3.5-cent tax rate increase. You can see after 2022, the tax rate starts going down after that. This just shows you the early voting time next Monday through May 2nd, or is early voting. There's a number of locations. There's all over the district, so you should be able to find a place to vote. They're all on our website. They're all on the information that we've sent out. And Election Day is May 6th. You need to vote in your specific district or precinct area for that one, and that's on our website as well. And then the polls are closed on Sunday, April the 29th or 30th. So with that, I just wanted to thank you again for letting us come and present some of the information, and we'll be around later to answer questions if any come up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul and Elena. Next, we're going to do the Vote Yes presentation from Jonathan Cottrell. Did I say that right? Yep. Awesome. All right, great. Thank you. And again, you can check out CCISD.net for all of this information. Right. And there's pamphlets. Make sure you guys read.
Hello. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Cottrell. and I'm the treasurer of Vote Yes for CCISD. Together with Scott Rainey, we lead our PAC for the sole purpose to enrich our community by promoting the passage of the CCISD bond on May 6th. I love CCISD. I grew up in League City. I attended Hall Elementary back when it was relatively new, and there were no portables. I continued to League City Intermediate, Clear Creek High School, and graduated from Clear Lake. My wife and I decided to call this our home for our family. We have 3 wonderful daughters. They'll grow up calling CCISD their home too. Those are my daughters, Hayden, who's 14, Addison, who's 9, Catherine, who's 4. That's why I'm so invested in CCISD. And who do I trust with my girls? The leadership. Why wouldn't I? Dr. Greg Smith was the 2012 Texas Superintendent of the Year. Not to mention he's an active volunteer in the community, a Rotarian, and an advocate for our commerce and the betterment of our local businesses. He's a cheerleader in the partnership of business growth and excellence in education in our community. Our community has elected the cream of the crop to serve on the Board of Trustees. They're a Region 4 Honor Board and the 2012 Top 5 in Texas. So with leadership like that, it's no wonder CCISD has been recognized for 5 years in a row by the Houston Chronicle as a top workplace. Our community truly is an amazing place to work, live, and play. A very conservative Texas comptroller named CCISD to the Platinum Leadership Circle. This is the highest rated award by the comptroller and is based on the accessibility of financial information. This award is for smart spending and transparency. Just recently, the Board of Trustees unanimously approved Dr. Smith's recommendation to apply $12 million in revenue earned through increased home values to pay down the principal on outstanding bonds. That's fiscal responsibility. So how did we get here? Well, this bond was not a concoction of the leadership to add debt to the district or its citizens. I personally volunteered to serve on a facility advisory committee and with others in the community for 5 months. We toured schools, we studied economic growth and projections, we asked questions about everything from cost-efficient flooring and traffic patterns. We did our best to determine where to draw the line between needs and wants. What recommendations would be good financial investments for the community, and what would be the best decision for the students to achieve their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. We held 3 town hall meetings, 2 of which were streamed online. Even a phone survey was conducted, and overwhelmingly the community said yes. This bond is a community decision, and if the community wants it, then vote yes. 3 area mayors have supported the bond. League City Mayor Pat Hallisey, Kemo Mayor Carl Joyner, Taylor Lake Mayor John Keeney, they all endorsed the bond, and Pasadena City Councilman Darrell Morrison recommend vote yes. A community decision would not be complete without our largest community partners. The Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce shares the boundaries with CCISD. The Board of Directors strongly recommends supporting CCISD and the bond. The League City Regional Chamber of Commerce, they recently voted on a resolution and recommend supporting CCISD and vote yes for the bond. Bay Area Houston Economic Partnership, they've been serving the community since 1976. It exists to work on behalf of its partners and for local issues and national issues and that affect the economic development and quality of life in Bay Area Houston. And BayHead overwhelmingly supports CCISD and recommend vote yes. Communities and schools, they've been serving the Bay Area for nearly 20 years. They provide resources for at-risk students throughout the district on 7 campuses. Their board of directors recommends vote yes for CCISD. Recently, the Clear Creek Association of Retired Teachers even endorsed the bond and recommends vote yes for CCISD. So why are so many community organizations recommending support the bond? A strong school district improves our economy, and it collaborates for the betterment of the community. Growth in CCISD is the result of our community growth. This year, there were 700 new students enrolled in CCISD. And I can tell you, I'm a realtor for those of you who don't know me, but the number one criteria for people moving to the community is schools. Everybody always asks, schools. Recently, third-party research showed that League City was the fastest growing small city in the nation in 2016 in a nationwide survey. And due to this growth, the district finds itself in a precarious position to meet the needs of its students, its faculty, and the community at large. The district must increase its capacity. We are above 90% right now, and rezoning is not the solution. CCISD has worked hard to create a neighborhood school environment. This helps create a smooth feeder pattern to help students continue to feel comfortable and acclimate through their academic journey. Don't forget the goal is excellence in education. Most parents don't want their children being bused from one side of town to the other just because there's space. This bond is about the future. Many of the elementary schools in use are 30 years old. Some are even 40 and 50 years old. We need to repair and replace throughout the district. We need updated technology, updated restrooms, lose the portables, and equip our facilities for the 21st century learning. CCISD is the 28th largest school district in Texas. The prudent path for new build as the population grows and to take the most effective approach to improving with rebuilds and the major renovations. The bond package has something for everyone. As Mr. McClarty mentioned, expanding a second magnet program to Brookside Intermediate, new theater lighting at Westbrook Intermediate, an engineering lab at Ed White Elementary. Many schools will even get new roofs and lot repairs, bathroom renovations that were designed in the 70s, pods at Hall Elementary that I attended, fine arts classrooms, and even musical equipment replacement. Whether it's STEM or someone wanting to receive a cosmetology certificate, CCISD wants to prepare our children for whatever the future holds. Unfortunately, not all children will go to college, but CCISD wants and tries to help the student be one step closer to achieving their hopes, dreams, and their aspirations. Safety is not an option to politicize when my children are involved. As a parent, I want to feel a level of comfort from the leadership and that they're doing everything possible to keep my children safe. I want to know that they're on a safe bus. And did you know the district has buses with more than 200,000 miles, and part of their replacement program are those older buses? 75 new buses in total. The safety continues into the parking lot and through the school, replacing analog cameras with digital cameras. And no, Radio Shack is not an option. Safety is also getting the children out of the portables and into the main building. Some schools will have fire sprinkler heads replaced and install generators with emergency lighting improvements like Wedgwood Elementary. So what happens to bond money? Bond money is in an INS fund. These funds cannot be recaptured by big government and in Austin. Bond dollars stay in the district for the district. So how do CCISD taxes compare to other districts? When you consider all that CCISD has to offer, it's amazing actually that our tax rate is still lower than Dickinson, Texas City, Katy, and even Deer Park, to name a few. CCISD does have an amazing bond rating. Standard & Poor's, Moody, Fitch, they have the highest confidence in CCISD's ability to manage the money. This again confirms the great responsibility our leadership has exemplified and our trust in CCISD's decision makers. So what is the tax impact for all this on the community? The average homeowner will pay less than 20 cents a day. That's less than $6 a month. That's it. And if you have the over 65 exemption, then your taxes are frozen and it won't cost you a thing. So, having heard everything that's included in the bond, or at least most of it, step back and ask yourself, what's it worth? If you're looking at a house or looking at a car, you step back and you ask yourself, well, what would I pay for that house? And what would I pay for that car? So what would you pay for this bond? So if you're not happy with the taxes going up, what does it look like to you? Because I know for myself, when I look at what all's in the bond, new schools, major renovations, programs for children with more opportunities, safer working and learning environments, I ask as a parent of children in the district, and as a husband of a teacher and as a son of a teacher, 18.5 cents a day is nothing. This bond is worth a lot more. So, what do you think it's worth to this teacher? So this was just recently. Teacher videoed this and put it on Facebook, and she votes yes for the bond. What's it worth to her and her family, or the kids who are in those classrooms? What's it worth? So the community has spoken with overwhelming support for the bond. The community wants to ensure CCISD is a proactive leader in education. The bond is clearly for all students in CCISD. The investment is minimal, and the impact will support children for a lifetime. These will be the halls where they will make memories that will last a lifetime. So vote early. Monday, April 24th through May 2nd is early voting. Election day is May 6th. You can visit CCISD's website to look at the polling locations, or visit Vote Yes for CCISD. And like us on Facebook, vote yes for CCISD. Thank you for your time, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Awesome presentation. Next, we're going to have is it vote no, or is it Citizens for CISD? Citizens for CCISD PAC, Radisson.
Still taking questions if anybody has any.
Hi, my name is Connie Radiso. I am with Citizens for CCISD. I had a sheet of paper, and of course I left it on my dining room table, so I'm going to read some questions off my phone. These are questions that some citizens of CCISD have asked, and I wanted to pass that on to you if I can get it where I can read it. One of the first questions is, why weren't we repairing our schools? Why weren't repairing our schools a higher priority than the stadium just 4 years ago? Why did the district waste so much of our tax dollars on useless tablets that broke or didn't work the majority of the time? Why does CCISD buy Rolls Royces when the majority of the taxpayers can only afford Fords and Chevys? Why are certain schools or extracurricular activities shown preference over others? Why can't CCISD get their priorities straight and quit trying to keep up with the Joneses? Do we need this massive debt? Why isn't the new stadium being used as a multi-purpose facility? Why do they have bogus justifications for major expenses? Who is CCISD trying to impress? Why do they keep building these huge, fantastic Taj Mahals instead of just teaching the kids? Why is the school system spending wasteful money on many bond items when our teachers are undersupplied? Is the stadium being used enough to justify the cost? Are we replacing the buses on a per-needed basis, or why aren't we on a per-needed basis instead of by age? Is the administration more loyal to big business education than it is to the taxpayer, the people that they represent and work for? And shouldn't the district cut wasteful spending before they ask me to pay more? One of the things I want you to look at here is the small picture is 1 million. The large palletized, 10 pallets, that's $1 billion. That's the difference. Keep that in your mind. The current debt of CCISD, consisting of 2004, 2007, 2013 bonds, won't be paid off until 2040. That's $1.2 billion. And they did lower it a little bit in the last 3 months. I'm not sure if that's in preparation for the election, but that's where we stand right now. We did beat bonds in 1996 and in 2003, and CCISD came back with another bond, a much lower bond. How do we compare? We're 28th largest in the state of Texas, but if you'll look at this, we're the deepest in debt of these 13 that surround us in our size. Being the 13th highest school in the district, school district in the state of Texas in voter-approved, tax-supported debt. It's sorted by debt. We're 13th. But look at our size compared to everyone else. There's only one size, Leander, that's smaller than ours. The principal is $487. We all know that. But what we're not being shown very often is the total interest on this debt. It started out at 5% at $426 million. The CCISD reconsidered that, although they did say that they thought that was a conservative number. Then they did 4.75, which takes us to $347 million. Either way, we're adding almost $1 billion to our existing debt. So this is the total debt service throughout the pay period of the debt. One of the things that they show you on here with this image is that age 65 or over is not affected. I beg to differ. Age 65 and older can be affected. They shop in our area. Our area businesses pay taxes, a lot more on these. And they also, if they have rental property, they have to pay. Oh, sorry, that's what you're saying to me. I kept wondering what you were showing me. They are affected if they have a vacation home. It affects them that way as well. Renters also are affected. People who own these rental properties or apartment complexes pass on that to the renter, so their rent could very well go up due to the increase in taxes. Businesses, obviously, a lot of people that have businesses here in town will pay the tax, and they may not even get to vote on it if they don't live in our area. Another thing that's not mentioned is this $5.47, that 1 cup of Joe. By the third year, that's over $300. The district sat down with a former council member and a former council member candidate for several hours going over this spreadsheet that shows those numbers and how they will increase. Just an overview of Texas, we are second in local debt behind California. Statewide 7th, state and local we're 3rd. And that's only until the next bond, which we're promised in 5 years. And then probably another 5 years after that, and 5 years after that. Oops. Let's look at the growth. This top piece is from text from the 2007 bond, where they said by 2020 we should be at 52,000 students. No, at 2020 we're at 43,000 students. And even by 2026-27 we're not at 52,000, we're at 45,749. 1,100 seats left available. This is historical growth from Texas Comptroller. You can see a couple of things. Hurricane Katrina in 2006 got us our 2007 bond with that 5% jump. It did go down a lot after that, after our neighbors went to other areas or went back home. In 2015, the numbers are different. Recently, they came out with 40,800. There are other things to consider about this. The district has started allowing parents to bring their kids in. I don't have a problem with teachers to bring their kids into the district. I don't have a problem with that. The special hearing program where they bring out-of-district students in, I don't have a problem with that either. They also have a program where they're bringing non-residents in to offset the recapture from the Chapter 41 Robin Hood's program. This is a graph from Templeton Demographics where they show the extreme growth that they talk about a lot, but if you'll notice, we've got this area and this area that's growing, and it won't be very long before we've built out our area. We don't want to overbuild. Now, does that mean I don't think we need a school? I actually think we might need a school in West Lead City. I just don't think we need one quite as expensive as what they're giving us. Let's take a look at the expansion. Stewart Elementary, $18 million, going to add 18 classrooms. Northwest ISD is adding additions to 3 elementary schools, and that's at $15 million. If you divide that out, that's $26,000 per student or per seat. There is some confusion about Stewart because evidently of those 18, we're also losing 7 classrooms to both administrative and instructional renovation and to collaboration and storage. So if you divide that out, if you've got 18 classrooms, like they said, then you've got 22 students. That seats, that's $45,000 per seat. Ideal at 18 students per classroom, that's $55,000. If it is actually losing 7 classrooms, which makes an addition of 11, you're looking at $74,000 and $91,000 per seat. This is a comparison of schools. In the green, you'll see other districts that are having bond elections this year, ranging from $21 million down to Clear Creek, which is at $43 and $46. I understand there is another school that is at $39 million, but I'm going to mention that school a little bit later and why I disapprove of their cost for their school as well. This is what we're building. Are these beautiful structures what is helping educate our kids? Are we building it for them, or are we building it for ourselves? Safety. Safety is important to all of us. In 2016, CCISD had a survey in which 95% of CCISD said that they felt like their students were safe, their kids were safe in school. That's up from 86%. We're not going to argue safety. Safety is important. But let's question some of the other things that go along with that. The school buses, should we do it by year? Should we do it by the need for repair? Administrative rebuild. Are we doing the rebuild to protect the students? Are we going to put more facades on the building and have a beautiful administration area in the name of safety? Musical instruments. A lot of us bought our own. What are the drivers of this debt? I'm not going to read this. It's in the pamphlet. Fast Growth School District is one of the things, and I found this because our school was growing fast, according to CCISD. So I Googled it. What is the fastest growing school district in Texas? And I found Fast Growth Texas. We don't qualify as a member. We don't even qualify as an emerging member. There's 3 qualifications. We don't meet any of them. We do pay $3,800 a year for as far back as I could find in the check registry, which I think was 2009 or 2007, to be friends of. What are we friends of? Fast Growth School Coalition is made up of a bunch of corporate members, names that you'll recognize from around the district. Templeton, that did our demographics study. PBK, that built Clear Springs, that won all of the administrative awards. The law firm is on here. Wells Fargo is on here. VLK Architects does planning from beginning to end. They have an invested interest in winning this bond. I'm going to skip this one too. This is more about fast growth. What are they doing? They're in Austin and they're fighting legislation that is relief to the taxpayer. They want to stop any kind of limits that we put on voter targeting. They want to end rolling They want to fight against ending rolling polling or blocking full ballot disclosure. I'm going to skip because I'm running out of time. Voter targeting, CCISD does do voter targeting. They've got their major supporters, their cheerleaders, and then they've got their regular supporters, their parents, their PTA. They are going to be at every single campus. And that is shown that they are doing this because if you look at the 2003 bond that we beat, look at those numbers. They're the 55 to 43, 47 to 53, very close. And then in 2004, it went to 73% in early voting for the bond, and then 77 in 2013. What did they do differently in 2004? After we stopped the bond in 2003, they came back and they mounted an intensive campaign to educate the voters. Also, the board extended early voting hours and added branch voting, which is what they call rolling polling, where they go to each one of these schools and get the votes that they need to pass the bonds. So how hard is it to pay $2 billion? Taxpayer, if we approved it, it's going to be about $50,000 per student. If we had 42,000 students, which we don't, or $125 per family, at least until the next bond. CCISD is using growth, safety, and the cost. Growth to deceive us, safety to scare us, and cost to justify the price tag, and threaten us by saying it'll only get worse if we kick it down the road. Until we say no to these bonds, they're going to continue to allow these corporations to fill their pockets. And if you don't think corporations are in this bond, there are construction companies, masonry companies, and realtors that are contributing over $30,000 towards making sure that this bond passes. What about the impact of the community, the business survival, the cost of goods, and our own personal family income? A lot of us, we have NASA here. NASA cut way back. A lot of people took lower paying jobs. Some dropped out of the job market. We also have the oil and gas industry, who's suffering greatly. All of those people, these taxes do affect them. And until we say no and say come back with something more reasonable, give us a better bond, then they will continue to do it, just like your child. Sometimes you have to stand there and say no.
That's it. I'm done.
Just 1 second. That was 15 minutes? Okay.
Oh, well, let's go back. Okay.
It's on the agenda.
Don't blame me.
It's on the agenda.
I just do what he said.
So why are we questioning this bond? Why wouldn't we say, yes, our children are the most important thing to us. We love that we live in CCISD. We have all of these awards for our kids' education. Why did we pick this? Because of CCISD is one of them. But we want to elevate the voter awareness so that they know about the bond. Not just the school district has a bond, I love my children, let's vote for it. We want to provide a different perspective, to question it, to look at it, to dig deep into it, and that's what we've done. We also want to increase voter turnout. You saw from those numbers earlier, those were low turnout for these. And sometimes it's maybe 5 to 8% of the voters that could vote for it that actually vote. So it's important that we get out there and do that. A lot of us are a little weary from this last election, and we'd rather not talk about politics or anything, but these things do affect us. Now, this is not a Democrat-Republican thing. There are Democrats that want to vote for this or vote against it either way. But I will say that Galveston County Republican Party did issue a resolution where they, because the way the legislation is working with the voter rolling polling and all of that, to remove tax caps from our spending limits that they're authorized to do, it's against the plank for the Republican Party, and they resolved against it. So what can you do to get involved, to help? For those of you that are here that know which way you want to vote, question the bond, engage others, talk to them, whether you're for it or against it. Either way, make sure people know about this and that they get out there and vote. Volunteer to block walk, share on social media, find opportunity, and contribute. A couple of more questions we have about the bond. Will we stop the overpriced bond? Maybe. Maybe not. But it's going to take us getting out there, getting people fired up about it, either way, and getting them to vote. Are there more not interested opponents that are simply remaining silent? We've had teachers, business people come to us. They don't want to speak out. They're afraid, my child goes to school there. I might lose a customer. Different reasons. But we need to get involved. One of the things that has been asked is, why is it a take all or is all or nothing? Why aren't some of these things divided up so we can say yes to this or no to that? Why is it all or nothing? Also, the CCISD administration and board members, we ask that you stop aligning with these corporations and that you look more towards your taxpayers, your homeowners, because one day our kids are going to be the homeowners. And until 2042 or 2045, they're going to be the ones paying on these bonds, because some of us won't be here then. And that leaves the question about this bond, that we want you to question this bond. And then we've decided, after looking into it, a lot of us, our answer is no, not this bond. Give us a better bond.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Jonathan, Paul, and Elena. Those were all great presentations. But now it's time for the exciting part, questions and answers. So the way... She has one mic. Okay, before questions and answers, Tanya Robertson wants to address something.
Just real quickly, Connie had mentioned that that this bond was against our Republican platform, and I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that, because that was she was in a hurry, and I understand that. Actually, I wanted to share with you, as the State Republican Executive Committee representative for Senate District 11, our Republican Party of Texas mission statement. The first part of it is to promote a conservative philosophy of government by promoting conservative principles. And a lot of you know that our platform is created by tens of thousands of grassroots Republicans from all over our state. So we don't take it lightly, and we take it very seriously, and it's through a process of conventions, starting at the precinct all the way up to our state level. So with that said, this past convention, we voted on our platform planks, and this one received 91% in favor of over 8,000 state delegates. And this plank says, it's about bond elections, and it says, state and local bond election ballots should be required to include the amount of debt currently outstanding, current debt service payments, current per capita debt obligations, the amount of new debt being proposed, estimated debt service for new debt, and estimated per capita burden being proposed. Any bond election, state or local, must pass with at least 2/3 majority of voters to affirm the bond. The bond issue must obtain a yes vote of minimum of 20% registered voters. Now, historically, these bonds, only 5 to of registered voters vote in these elections. So that few people are deciding our tax base. And all elections of person responsible for adopting a budget and property tax rate, and all elections involving bond indebtedness shall be held in November on a uniform election date and administered by the county clerk or county's election administrator. That means everything's uniform. The people that benefit from the bond or the money aren't running the elections. It's a nonpartisan county facility. And any government entity should not spend taxpayer dollars in promoting further indebtedness or spending of taxpayer dollar via mass media. We oppose bundling of items on bond elections ballots. So just to reiterate some of what Connie said, and I wanted to share this with you guys, and I have extra copies if you'd like one with the resource to our Texas GOP website. So with that said.
Okay, so Connie and Jonathan can make their way up here. And I just want to reiterate to visit ClearLakeAreaRepublicans.com and vote on their straw poll. And if you have any questions while we're doing the question and answers, you can just pop your hand up and we'll come and pick those up. So to kind of explain how the rules of this are going to work, we're going to pull the questions at random. If one is addressed to Connie, she's going to get, we'll say, a minute or so to answer, and then Jonathan will get 30 seconds to respond, vice versa. If it's addressed to both, they'll both get an opportunity to answer. And someone did ask me earlier if the question isn't answered completely or thoroughly, can we get some clarification for it? So if you hear your question asked and you don't like the answer or you need some clarification, you can pop your hand up and we'll try to accommodate that. But what we don't want to do, or quite frankly, what we're not going to do is devolve into a back and forth argument. We're just going to try to get the questions answered and keep it very simple. Number one. So there's no addressee on it, but I'm going to assume it's addressed to the Vote Yes PAC. And it says, how can anyone justify $2.1 billion to their taxpayers?
Well, the first thing is it's not $2.1 billion, so don't give the premise any validity. And I think that about says it all for me. 2.1 is an inflated number. And for me, like I said in my presentation, it's about that daily cost. 18.5 cents a day is nothing. And with all's included in it, it's necessary for the community to take on. And just to clarify, the bond, the information that's in the bond are the decisions of a committee of citizens. So one of the comments that she made is, why does it have to be all or nothing? That decision was made by volunteers to the bond, as the advisory committee to the district. So that was our recommendation, and we did go through and we kicked out this and we selected that. But as far as the 2.1 suggestion, I don't give it any credit. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, the 2.1 is the total debt service with all bonds that we have remaining throughout the next 2042 or when they said it was. The 18 cents a day is nothing is really, to some people, you take that 18 cents, maybe they don't have a $233,000 home. That 18 cents plus all the other taxes, we all just pay taxes here, or did our taxes here. So this tax and that tax and every other tax starts to add up over time. So if you say it's just 18 cents, you got to think about the whole picture. And to some people, that really is money out of their pocket that they need. We've got in the district, our free and reduced lunch program in the last 10 years has doubled from 6,000 to 12,000. We've got a large number of economically disadvantaged students lately that we didn't have before. So to those parents and those people who are looking at their budgets, I say it is a big deal. And for some people, it is hard to take.
Thank you. The next question is, does the CCID projected growth rate include Chapter 41 transfers? And this question might be one directed to the district. So, if you guys want to answer, we can do that.
I think the comment that we are bringing students from outside the district to lower our threshold for Chapter 41 is completely false. The only students we have coming into our district are parents, our employees' children who work in our district, and they're on a space available basis. So if they work at Mossman Elementary or Wedgwood, their child is not necessarily able to go to that school, but they can come to our district at another campus. And then the only other people that are here are our deaf co-op children who come to our district from a cooperative of all districts in Galveston and Missouri County.
Can we read that?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
it's on a Chapter 41 spreadsheet for all of Texas. It showed 123 students transferred in 2017 fiscal year, and the year before 110.
Those aren't transferred in for Chapter 41 purposes.
It's on the spreadsheet, though.
Well, I can't speak to the spreadsheet, ma'am. All I can tell you is that we do not allow children to come into our district unless they are their parents work in our district or they're in the hearing impaired co-op. That's the only children that are allowed in this district. Unless you live in the district, you cannot come into the district.
Can I ask a question to follow up on that?
Follow up on this, yes, sir.
Okay. On the employees, children that come into the district, are they being charged like they were in the past, the full cost of their education, or not?
No, children from employees' children are coming into our district. So we do get the ADA for those children from the state.
Right. But they're not being charged, the employees aren't being charged like they were in the past. Well, finally, somebody's got some sense. Okay.
Can I? Since 2009, the district has been eligible for recapture, which is the Chapter 41. According to the spreadsheets on Texas Comptroller or TEA, and there are only certain ways that you can avoid having to pay that recapture. One is to buy a property poor, or bring a property, or sell off some of your property to a property poor district because we're property wealthy. You can, I call them buy bogeys, or you can take kids from other districts. There's about 3 or 4 ways that you can avoid it. The question, but
are you choosing district line? That's what I'm trying to understand.
No.
What are you saying?
I'm saying the data says that we're eligible to be paying recapture. The data says that there were 123 and 101 in 2 separate years that were transfers. So what is the explanation as to why we are not paying recapture, and where did these numbers come from?
That's a great question. I'll be glad to answer that, and I have before. Recapture is based on students and property value. It's also based on your tax rate. So as long as you're at $1.04, like we are, we're considered property wealthy, but only barely property wealthy. I think we're 375,000 per weighted average daily attendance in our property wealth. As long as we don't go above that $1.04 on our maintenance and operation tax rate, we are grandfathered in at the Austin yield. So there's an Austin yield on property value that's probably around $500,000. So until we ever, which we don't plan to, go above the $1.04 for our maintenance and operations tax rate, we do not pay any kind of wealth transfer.
Next question is, will the CCID practice of rolling polling be stopped voluntarily, or will the taxpayer have to rely on the state legislature? I'm going to try to keep the questions germane to the issues at hand. If the district would like to answer that after, they're probably more than happy to, but I'm really going to try to keep the questions germane to what we're talking about. So apologize if I have to skip over your question. Given that interest rates are historically low at this time, does CCID have a program to
If that's your question, come over here.
Refinance. Okay. Refinance past issues to give relief to the taxpayer.
Another good question. Yes, we do. We refund bonds. We call it refunding, same as refinancing. Every year we've done that since I've been there, and I've been here 13, almost 14 years. Over the past 15 years, we've saved about $65 million in interest payments by refinancing bonds when they are callable. And we also have defeased bonds, which we've done in the last 6 months, up to $12 million in bonds that we've actually paid off early. And we've saved about $3 million in interest by doing that.
With the savings from using an existing design, what is driving the cost of the new elementary school? Is that a question for the district?
It's a cost question. I mean, they're the one.
Poor guy. Come on, man, give him a question.
Get my exercise. The cost information is dealt every time we've had a facility advisory committee. We bring in experts in the area of engineering, architecture, to tell us what these buildings are going to cost. What they've used is a market basket of schools that are being built in the Houston area, because that's our market. And so that's where they come up with the $210 per square foot for those campuses. And so off of that, we make adjustments if it's there's some other extenuating circumstances with that build. But we use the Houston area average for that information.
So I'm going to ask you if you could sit down with us, because it seems as though we have a lot of questions that are directed towards the district. And instead of continuing to ask you to get out, we might as well just because the next one's for you too. So what is the per student debt, and what is the per capita debt per taxpayer for the district?
I don't have the per student debt in front of me. I'm just assuming it's close to $20,000, like Connie has said. The per capita is about $3,500, more or less, per capita. Per capita is on the number of people you actually have in your district, students. So there's 233,000 plus students in our district. People in our district that live here, and so that's why that number is at $3,500. We have a debt transparency report that's on our website. It details all of the debt information we have, and it also shows the per capita number. And this is required information from the state of Texas. It's required to be on our website. It's up there for everybody to see.
The 21,000 that was on that graph was Texas Comptroller for 2014. So I think now it's more like 27,000.
No, I'll say it's not.
Okay.
2014 we had more debt. In 2014 we had more debt than we do now. We have $817 million in debt, which is a big number. We have almost 42,000 children, so you can do the math. It's around 20 to 21,000.
Well, how much interest a year do we pay on that?
It varies. I don't have all the information. It varies by bond issue. So as we go out and sell bonds every year, whatever the prevailing interest rate is on tax-free debt, which is what we sell, AAA rated debt that we sell, that's what we sell it at. So it varies, and that's on our website as well. I just don't have that with me.
Okay, so you don't have a normal number for every year how much you pay in debt service?
Paying in debt service is different than how much interest we pay. So debt service.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was trying to answer your question. Debt service, including debt, we pay off about between $35 and $40 million that we have been every year in debt. So that's going down. When we add the new debt, if this bond passes, then we'll go up to a new number and start paying that number down too.
Why is there so much of a discrepancy between the state comptroller's numbers and CCISD's numbers? If if y'all have to report those to the comptroller,
I'm sorry, I was.
why is there such a discrepancy in the numbers between what y'all have and what the state has when y'all have to report numbers to the state?
Because you're looking at 2014 data, and I've got 2017 data that I'm giving you right now.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, I don't want to cherry pick questions, but I do want to involve all of the panelists, so I am going to start going through the questions to try to get everybody else involved in the dialogue.
Just a housekeeping note. Could we have our guest move over to his side? I just feel it kind of lonely, you know what I mean? He's by himself. No, Connie, you got your own side. See, Connie, you got your side. They got their side.
Oh, I don't have a side.
I'll let you have that one. Get in the
Put
middle.
him in the middle.
You're in the middle
Next one is directed towards Jonathan.
I got one question real quick. He was AAA, so they ran AAA.
Yes.
And when I got AAA,
Yeah.
on the screen you had AA. You didn't have AAA anywhere.
It's,
So what
yes,
is it?
because there's an underlying rating that every district has. So the Moody's and Fitch, they'll all give an underwriting rating, underlying rating to the school district for how well they're running their business. So that's the AA. We're guaranteed a AAA rating.
That's all I.
By the state of Texas.
That's all I know.
Do we run the risk of that rating going down if this bond is passed and we have that much added debt?
No. It's based on your ability to pay for debt, as the ratings are, and we have the ability to pay.
Got one for you, Bob. Who funds the vote yes or PAC? How much did you raise?
Let's start here. How much have we raised to date? Nearly $50,000 actually. I think that I got another couple of checks from teachers. I had teachers come up and handed me checks and things like that. Who funds it? Those that believe in it. People I say thank you because they believe in what I believe in, and whether it's to support me, support my children, support the initiative. It doesn't matter to me whether the funds come from Amarillo or Austin or Alaska, to be honest. I personally have put in thousands of dollars into Vote Yes. So the money comes from the citizens. They come from businesses, people that are like-minded that support what we believe in.
If you go to the Texas Ethics Commission and look up Jonathan's name as the treasurer, you can see who is donating to the PAC, and there's easily identifiable over $30,000.
Okay, so the next question is for Connie. It says, did Connie serve on the volunteer committee?
No, I wasn't asked. As a matter of fact, I had seen something in the the board meeting minutes and responded on a Facebook page that I thought that CCISD was getting ready to do a tax ratification election, and CCISD actually came back to me and said no, that they weren't. My guess is what I was seeing was the beginning of the facility advisory committee of the 30 people that met, I guess about 740 hours total, if you multiply that times 30 people. So.
Is that a question?
No,
Okay. It was about 40 residents and citizens in the community that volunteered their time.
How did they volunteer that?
What do you mean, how did we volunteer that?
Yeah, I never heard of it.
How did you know?
How did you know to go volunteer at that
Well,
time?
the district opens that up. Now, how do I know about it? Because I'm involved in the community. I serve on different boards of directors within the community, from philanthropy to education foundations. So I'm very involved in the community. So I heard it and I said, hey, I'm interested. Sign me up. Let me help out.
I'm glad there wasn't such an unbiased voice on it.
What's that?
I'm glad there wasn't an unbiased voice on it.
Yeah, there really wasn't, because there's, if you want to say Republicans and Democrats, independents, there was all walks of life and all professions, whether it was religious or insurance or realtors.
There were PTA moms on there that don't, that they're stay-at-home moms who that's their occupation, and all walks of life were on there. And so that bond package that everybody's looking at right now is something that came from the residents of the community.
And there was a consensus decision?
It had to be. Well,
so I was on the committee as well. I'm a mom of 2 kids in elementary school. I stepped up and, I get flyers in my kids' folders to step up to committees. So I stepped up to several campus administrative committees.
So you were recruited by the school?
I wasn't recruited, but I stepped up to.
Well, you said you got flyers from your kids?
Flyers go out in everybody's folder.
Well, they didn't come to my folders. My kids already graduated.
Well,
why did we take up with questions?
I can't tell you how other people got on the committee, but I'll tell you how I
Okay.
And I'm just a mom, and I like to be involved, and I volunteer. And I can tell you that the bond committee wasn't always in agreement. We fought about it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these issues were hard issues. It was $1.2 billion what the district gave us and said, here's our needs. And that's, like I said, what are your needs, what are your wants, and how are these 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years? How soon can we address these things? And, there's a lot of information that gets overlooked, like the buses and the transportation department. And we had presentations come in, people from the district principals, they would come in and talk to us. So the transportation center to get redone, the whole parking lot needs to be redone. It hasn't been done in maybe, I was there 30 years ago, it seems like. There are safety factors with that. Buses backing up can run people over. So part of rebuilding it is so the buses don't have to go in reverse. They can go straight through. I mentioned the flooring. So the new flooring that would go into the new schools is cost effective, whereas the flooring that's right now has huge maintenance costs associated with it. So there's a lot of that people aren't taking into consideration, and why this bond maybe costs so much is actually in the long run going to be more beneficial for the maintenance aspect of it.
Okay, so the next question is, why did you guys select a May election rather than a November election when there would be a higher voter turnout?
Yes, that's me. There are common election dates. One is May, one is November. There are cities and MUDs and school districts across the state that have always had a May election. Several years back, even many of our cities have May elections. City of Nassau Bay has a May election. So we have a routine board of trustees election in May right now scheduled. And we have candidates that are on the agenda for that election. And we want to put the bond election and the board election all in the same one to save dollars for our district, and to have it in the same time frame we always have our trustee elections.
Next question is for those questioning the ability of the district to fund or pay any bond indebtedness. How do you reconcile that with the school district's bond rating and growing property tax base?
Can you repeat the question? And who is it to? I'm assuming the district.
For those questioning the ability of the district to fund or pay any bond indebtedness, how do you reconcile that with the school district's bond rating and growing property tax base?
Well,
sounds like two different.
I tell you, as president of the PAC for Citizens for CCISD, we don't question the ability of the taxpayers to pay what they're asked for, and if they approve this bond, it will be paid. We know that. We question how the money is being spent, not whether we can pay for it. Should we pay for it? Should we pay for everything that is asked in a 90-day window? $500 million is a lot of money to come out of the tax base for the CCISD. All we're asking is something, a better, more reasonable look, with maybe a larger group of citizens and community activists who are looking at it also. That's all we're asking.
So is that your question? Is that your question that you read?
That was not my question.
So do we know whose question that was?
That's the answer. Yes, it's to our PAC, our side. We're not questioning whether or not we can pay for it as taxpayers. Right. We can do that. We're just saying, should we?
Next question is, it's two questions. What things were advocated for by the facility committee that didn't make it on the bond referendum? And when will CCISD get a natatorium?
Well, I asked for a dome stadium. But the things that didn't make it on the bond, there were priority items 2, 3, and 4, I believe it was, and those were items that would need to be replaced for 5 years and beyond. And so that really was that cutting line right there. We had several items that were options. League City Elementary had 3 options, I believe. Clearview had 3 options. And so we discussed what are all the different options for those so that we would choose the best one as a group. But really, that's what didn't make the cut were things that had a lifespan of at least another 5 years plus.
So we got another $700 million.
$712 million that are still priority 3 and 4. I think priority 1s and 2s were passed. Just one? Okay. So that leaves $712 million that we can look forward to maybe in 5 years, and certainly I would say within 10, as well as other issues.
Next question is, why didn't the last bond issuance do more school improvements rather than spend millions on stadium waste?
Yeah, I wasn't on that committee at that time, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I wasn't on the committee either, but I was facilitating the committee. Each committee is provided priorities that were developed within the district and also priorities within the community. And each committee determines what would be on the next bond proposition. So the committee back in 2012-13 had a number of schools, the rebuild of Clear Lake High School, McWhorter Elementary, the rebuild of that, and a lot of priority repairs throughout the district. And then they also had a stadium involved in that one as well. And so that facility advisory committee made the recommendation to our school board to include a stadium in the proposition for 2013, and the board accepted that recommendation. They even cut back on that initial recommendation of the bond by another $20 million and cut it down. And I would challenge the idea that the stadium is not being used; it's being used all the time.
And $269 million was spent on bricks and mortars and replacements in 2000.
Okay, $269 million was spent on bricks and mortar, non-stadium items.
Can we expand on that a little bit here?
Sure.
Paul, where does administration and school board, where are they in here? Because in my opinion, if these schools that y'all say need all these repairs now, that just didn't show up in the last 4 years. Well, all of it didn't just show up in the last 4 years. So, did the school board prioritize a new football stadium over repairing the schools that needed it then?
If you remember what we talked about, each facility advisory committee looks for a 5-year period of time. That's what Jonathan just told you. So that group, back in 2012-13, we're looking at priority items over the next 5 years. Some of these items were priority 1s and 2s within 5 years, and so they need to be done on the 2012-13 bond. But others, like there's a number of issues, like Connie has pointed out, there's things that didn't get on this bond proposition that were pushed down because in 5 years they might need some work, but in the next 5 years before that, they would not. So the board goes with the recommendation with some adjustments from the facility advisory committee, and so this facility advisory committee in the last bond was the one that made the determination that a stadium needed to be one of the priorities.
So we only have 4 more questions, and I know some of our panelists may have to leave soon, so I'm going to try to get through these relatively quickly so that we can make sure we get some answers to them. This next one's an interesting one. It says, my greatest concern is the cost of facilities, which is probably the greatest capital cost. Why can we just not build safe, modest facilities to save some money? And then in the corner it says, just make a cinder block building and then there's a line that says painted the school colors.
Let's talk about that.
Certainly we have design standards that we build to. Design standards are standards that will last us 40, 50 years. We have 75-year-old campuses right now. The recommendation by the committee was to replace one of those and find an alternative for Clear Path, which is another one built in 1938. So our design standards are built to where we have minimum operational cost going forward, because we do not add staff for these buildings. When we get a brand new facility like the new Elementary 27, we would add some custodial staff. But as we grow, we've got over 7 million square feet of building capacity right now that we have to operate. So our design standards are such that we build a quality school. Now, we don't build, some people may say they're Taj Mahals. We don't believe they're Taj Mahals. They're adequate learning environments for our children. And so and they're in line with other, with the cost of school districts around our area.
Can we not pay as you go plus and save 50%?
I guess that's me again. I'm glad I came tonight. I love the pay as you go. I'm a CFO. I'm a deputy superintendent. I've been doing this for a long time. And pay as you go is the way we want to go. Our budget, if you understand school finance, it's not like city finance, it's not like county finance. As your property values go up in a city or a county, all of that revenue, all that tax revenue goes straight into the coffers of the city or the county. And that's why you'll see them reducing their tax rate from year to year. Sometimes it's only a little bit, but they can always say, we've reduced your tax rate. School funding, because of the way it's designed in Austin and the way they're still arguing about it right now, is such that as our values go up and we pay more taxes into our general revenue, the state comes in and takes away almost 100% of that. That's what the Robin Hood part of this is. So that we don't get to keep that funding. It doesn't stay in our district. 86% of our budget is personnel, teachers, custodians, bus drivers, child nutrition workers. So 86% we're starting off is already spoken for. We pay about $115,000 for a normal school on a school year for utilities. We pay $8 million a year in utilities costs. We have regular maintenance in our budget. So once you whittle all that down, the only way to do major capital expenditures in the school district is through a bond program. We cannot generate that kind of funding to handle building new facilities, adding a $1.8 million roof at one of our elementary campuses, which is what they cost, or a $1.5 million air conditioning system at one of our campuses, which is what they cost. So we would love to do it. We're trying to do that. Student tablets was brought up earlier. And the last bond, 2013, had student tablets on it. We promised that Facility Advisory Committee at that point in time, we would not put tablets on the bond in the future. We said we're going to develop a sustainable way to do that internally with our general fund. So we've developed over the last 4 years a reserve set up specifically to replace those tablets that students use, that go home with students, as they become obsolete or inoperable. So we're trying to do that wherever we can, but we're just limited by our funding sources and how schools are funded to where we're very limited in what we can do.
Okay, and how many students in portables will be moved into regular classrooms?
I have to do it. Can I do a quick calculation?
Can I look at my Facebook?
Well, there's roughly 22 kids in each portable.
It leaves about 1,500.
So it's about 790, 800 kids. This bond does not replace, does not eliminate every portable in the school district. We've never said that. What it does is it starts eliminating those in key areas where we need to. If Walter Hall Elementary has 18 portables, they've got 1,000 kids, close to 1,000 kids, in a building that was built for 600. And so the infrastructure there is not built to support 700,000 kids. And so those would go away with a new facility, and then in selected other areas, we're trying to reduce those. If you've got a growing district, and with 700 students a year is a growing district, you're going to have affordable buildings because you don't want to overbuild. I think Connie mentioned that, and I agree with her. You don't want to build too early and then have that empty building. So what we do is we have to have some select affordable buildings around our district so that we don't build too quickly.
My eyes were widening because the number of growth students keeps dropping to 700. But one of the things with the new school, the new elementary school 27, when we get that school, we will have to rezone. And we say, why can't we look at rezoning? We're not, I call it Little Johnny, we're not talking about sending Little Johnny from West League City all the way up to Seabrook. We're going to have to rezone anyway. You can take someone from one district in a couple of streets, a neighborhood, and move it and fill in those spots that are available, and there's over 1,100 available for the students. So that's what we mean, not to get someone up at 5:30 in the morning and put them on a bus to ride an hour and a half to Seabrook.
So I live in West League City, and my kids go to college, and that's portable city up there. I don't know if you haven't been there, you should go and look. Those kids are out there. If it's thundering, they have to come in. If there's a tornado watch, they have to come in. It's ridiculous conditions. And Westwood keeps building. So maybe the rezoning might work for this year, maybe it might work for next year. It's not going to work for the year after that. There's another, 500, 600, 700 houses going to be built in Westwood. Where are all those kids going to go? At some point, we're going to have to build up schools.
I agree. I just disagree that it needs to be so much money.
Okay, so
Connie, is there any bond election you've ever voted in favor of?
Yes.
Which one?
Gosh. I don't know.
The last question is going to go to me. I haven't got a chance to ask one yet, and since Paul has been the star of this, I'm going to direct it to Jonathan and Connie. Jonathan, it's May 6th. You're coming out of the polling location. You see me going in. Tell me why I should vote for this bond if I don't have a child in the district. Connie, same question goes to you, but I do have a child in this district, so why should I vote against it?
Who goes first?
Up to you guys.
Connie, you go first. You're a lady.
Nice.
So it's May 6th, and a lot of us are going to be poll watching that day. The opportunity, we're going to try to talk to as many people as we can prior to that and beg all of you to do the same. But May 6th, when we go in there, if I was out there and somebody walked up to me and said, what do? I would ask them to think about how we keep allowing ourselves to be taxed on this, that, and the other, whether it's a local sales tax or a road tax or a mud tax. And ask ourselves if we think that it is prudent to be responsible with the money that we spend. I absolutely think it's our responsibility to take care of our children and to pay for our schools. As parents in community, it's our local responsibility. It's not the state's responsibility totally, and I certainly don't want the federal government involved in it. It's our responsibility. But let's look at this, let's wake up and do it in the most fiscally responsible way possible. Not to build Clear Lake facades or McWhirter facades. Let's do what we're taxed to do, which is educate our children. It doesn't have to be anything so extreme.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think if I'm watching somebody walk in the polls on the end of Election Day on May 6th, the first thing I'd probably look at them and ask is, do you support your community? that's such a big deciding factor right there. Is how much do you want to support your community? Because whether you have a kid in school or not, this is a community issue. And the community is helping support all of us, the community, the chambers of commerces, the economic partnerships. The community does so much for us that we don't realize. And this is a community issue. And, I would say if somebody, told me that they don't support the community, they didn't care about the community, they may be just a lost cause and would vote no to everything. And but I think for the most part, for the people that ask me why to support the bond, you're supporting the teachers. The first week of May is Teacher Appreciation Week. Support the teachers. Support the bond. They need to support the community that helps support them. So I think that's the biggest reason why I would say support the bond.
I actually want to say that because you can say no does not mean that you don't support your community or your teachers. As parents, we have a responsibility to sometimes look to our children and say no. And sometimes we have to look to our leaders that are supposed to be representing us and say no. And I think that's being very responsible and very supportive of your neighbors and your family.
And I agree, and that's why the leadership of these community organizations all support the bond. Your chambers of commerces, your mayors, they are recommending supporting the bond. So that's why you reflect back on that leadership that you are to advise, recommend, and they recommend supporting the bond and vote yes.
Well, thank you guys. That was amazing. And I think one thing that we all took away from this is that there's no shortage of concern for taxpayers or students at this panel. Everybody cares about both and wants to do what's in the best interest of both. So I think the biggest takeaway is to make sure that you do vote on May 6th or early vote. Probably better to early vote. And I think you guys have 2 trustee elections this time around too. So make sure you do that. And make sure you check out CCISD.net for the information from the district. Citizens for CCISD.com and vote yes for CCISD. And make sure you go to ClearLakeAreaRepublicans.com and take that straw poll so that they can get those results in. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Connie. I think this was great.
I think we should close on a good note here and say this. One thing that I heard you mention is pay-as-you-go is a smart thing to do. And we should all get together and make a new PAC and lobby against Austin to get rid of Robin Hood. Well, as I said in our very first confrontational meeting we had, informational, whatever, we all have a common goal of we need to hit Larry Taylor up, our state senator, and we need to get school funding fixed for the state because we all know it's broken.
Bill, I told you I'm signing you up for other committees.
They pulled it off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You like it?
Have some good food.
I got another camera. Thank you. Sorry, wait.
Should we close it?
Huh?
Should we close it?
Hey, Whitney.
Yeah, definitely.
So, tell me about your experience in Waco.